I don't really like being right about these kinds of things, but I've been saying for months and months and months that it's not gonna it's not gonna get any better anytime soon. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to not get better, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we shouldn't have hope. It doesn't necessarily mean that we shouldn't have the mindset of striving to endure no matter what. But it does mean that we have to be realistic about what's actually happening. And anybody that's been paying attention today is realizing that the market is crashing. Bitcoin is down excessively low compared to where it's been for the last few months. And it's still at a high price. You know, everything's still moving at an upward trajectory overall, but this kind of stuff is bound to happen, and we're about to enter a newfound storm where people are going to be able to realize who's really who again. Sometimes you need a real reminder every now and again of separating the wheat from the tares, right? And people who are striving to be cool, calm, and collected under pressure, people that simply know how to handle life problems better than you do or anybody else, those are going to be the people that are going to win right now in this day and age. And this is going to be the kind of person that's going to be not really susceptible to the chaos that's going to be entwined with the fabric of society at this moment. There's going to be a pinnacle, I suppose, within the next few years that really suggests there's going to be a very big discrepancy between certain kinds of social classes as well as certain kinds of economic classes in general. But the social class and the economics class and status are going to be something that is, we're going to have to play by ear for the next foreseeable future, because nobody really knows what's going to happen. But I will say this right now, I know for a fact that things are crashing. There's definitely, the storm is here for the economy. And I don't know why Donald Trump announced a new strategic reserve for crypto the other day. I think it was a good idea, but why did he, wouldn't have the strategic approach been to not announce it? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like that's out of Trump's character. And I'm not necessarily saying that I'm a fan of Trump or I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm just saying that it seems like Trump would have been a little bit smarter than that. I don't know. Maybe this is all part of the plan, whatever plan that is exactly. But I've seen people that have lost a lot of money over the past few days. And everybody that is not living above their means, people that are living below their means, they're doing just fine. That's probably people like you and me. If you're watching this right now, you probably understand that living below your means is by far the most precise and indicative way that you can determine future success. Because if you can lower the means that you're living on, and you can live below that, on top of just lowering your means in general, well, then you're going to have a lifestyle that can be conducive to an everlasting and fulfilling life. And when things like this happens with the stock market and with the market in general, well, you're not going to be outsourced. You're not going to be the one that's going to be outsourced. You're going to be the one that has the options. You're going to be the one that has the ability to still diversify and no longer qualify to others. People are going to be qualifying to you. And make no mistake, you're either going to be outsourced, and this is just AI in general too. Like, AI is another big factor that's playing a part in this. AI has become a lot of people's route for creativity. And that means that a lot of content creators like myself, who take inspiration from other pure conduits of consciousness and from the source of creation itself, we're going to be just fine. In fact, we're going to be lapping the kinds of people that are stuck with AI. We're going to be lapping the kinds of people that are going to be too focused on the proclivity toward trying to let machines think and do for them. And the reason being is because we have ourselves. They have everything, but they don't have themselves. And that's the difference between people like you and me and everybody else. Everybody, all these NPCs out here, the NPC personality type and the archetype, the difference between us is that we actually know who we are. We actually know what we're about, or we're at least striving to know who we are and what we're about. And that's really the main part that separates us. And that is what separates the wheat from the taff, or the chaff, right? So there's just so many different kinds of things that are happening right now that we could go into. But as far as a piece of encouragement right now is to develop your skills, develop your skill set. Whatever kind of lane that you're in, pick a lane and stay there. I'm going more all in on my business than I've ever done before. I've had so many beautiful ideas over the past couple days on what I want to do. There's just an unlimited amount of ideas. I feel as though I truly am a flowing fountain of tactful ideas at this point, because there's just so many things that I want to do and that I want to implement. But at the same time, I also have to understand that there's going to be a process. There's going to be a way in which we can do this the most we ought to maximize the potential and the probability of what success looks like, and having that criteria defined based on the presuppositions of what I'm deeming to be reliable and acceptable for not just my business, but also just in general, and minimizing the potential cost for any sort of hindrance or spiritual attack or etc. In fact, I'm at the point now where a few days ago I made a video called I'm not sure if I can handle this anymore. And it's funny because almost immediately after I made that video, and after I went through that little it was that little 24-hour period of just very intense spiritual attack. Devil was really trying to implement my mind, but fortunately I have an impregnable shield of faith surrounding me, and it was as if as soon as that little spell was done, I was back in full force. I was back in the godlike savage fight for truth and for freedom and freedom of thought. And it was just a beautiful thing to see in myself that I can still go through these kinds of stressful situations or hardships to even encourage myself to continue to not quit, to continue to not give up, to continue to see that this is all part of the process. This is all part of whatever it is that you're on the path of greatness. Whenever you're on the path of greatness, it's gonna be harder than the easy path, obviously. And the reason being is because you have to stay motivated by responsibility itself. You're not any longer motivated by motivation. You're motivated by responsibility and the truth that comes along with the adventure of life. And that's what's so cool. What's so cool about this path, with this narrow path and the narrow way, what's so awesome about this is how you are burdened with knowledge in some way. You are burdened with the knowledge and the sorrow that comes with knowledge, that is. You are burdened with this ability to actually see things for what they are. And that's not really a burden after a long time. Once you see it in a certain way, once you have a certain perspective, it's going to be a blessing. Like, there's going to be those ups and downs. Not every day is going to be your best day. There are, 30 days in a month, right? So that means that you're going to have your top 10% and your top 3% of those days. That means you're going to have 3 days in the month where you're on cloud nine, you are going full-fledged. And there's also going to be 3 days in the month where you're not really as good as you could be, whether it's through fatigue, physical fatigue, mental fatigue, stress. But whoever has the highest stress tolerance and the ability to calm emotions, those are going to be the people that are going to win at this time, especially during times like this where people are panicking with the stock market and such and the crypto, everybody's selling everything. It's like, man, are you kidding me? This is the time to either buy or hold. At least that's my mentality, and that's what's worked for me in the past. So I don't necessarily know why people are so frantic. I honestly, I don't know, maybe this is a bit sadistic of me, but when things start to crash, I start to know that there's going to be something available. Like there's going to be ways in which we can utilize the chaos for our benefit, right? And this is something that we talk about in the Regal Change Academy quite a bit. We mentioned we mentioned Art of War, Sun Tzu, his quote that says, where something along the lines of where there is chaos, opportunity lies, or something like that. And we did an Art of War class series in the Regal Change Academy a couple months ago, and man, I cannot wait to do more classes like that. We're doing the Legends of Stoicism class right now, and having this Stoic approach and learning to apply these Stoic principles in your daily life has been super beneficial for people, and the feedback that we've gotten so far has been great. But you know, that's another thing to think about, is how can you approach this from a Stoic perspective? How can you approach the madness outside of you and inside of you, perhaps, with a Stoic sense of calmness? How do you do that? Well, you have to understand what the mentality or the ethos of the Stoic philosopher is, and you have to understand what the ethos of your enemy is as well. And the enemy, for all intents and purposes, is just simply the devil himself. The devil does not rest, and whenever he amps up the attacks on you, that means that you're on the better route. That means that you're on a better path. They just don't want you to believe that. They just don't want you to think that you're actually going to be in a better place than you are, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. Because whenever you're going through spiritual attacks, and this is something that I perhaps want to make another video entirety of itself, is when you're feeling like God is beginning to misunderstand you, when you are feeling like God is not getting you, like you're making the sacrifices, you're doing what God has asked you to do, and yet it just seems like it's not enough for some reason, that's usually a sign that there's either God is testing you for the genuineness of your faith, or you're actually just going through the storm of a spiritual attack. So keep mindful of this. Keep yourself in great nutrition. Keep exercising. And encourage your self-talk to be positive. Okay, if you want to summon greatness into your life, you have to have the mentality to do so first. And it all starts with how you act following that mentality. You can lie to yourself. You can have pathological confidence. I know it because I've had pathological confidence in the past, where I had to delude myself into believing that I was confident. I had to delude myself into believing that I was capable of greatness, because I knew that there was always something inside of me, but I didn't want to believe that it was actually there, because if it was actually there, then I actually had to do the work to create it. And I was kind of scared of the creation process. I was scared of actually putting myself out there and actually being a helper to society, because I wasn't quite sure if what I was doing and what I am doing is necessarily correct for the spirit of this time. But I don't pay matter to those kinds of thoughts anymore. And if, like the other day, when those kinds of thoughts intrude upon me, I don't let it take over me. I recollect myself. I understand myself. I let myself feel the emotions, but I don't let them control me. I don't let them take a hold of who I am. I differentiate the emotions that I have from who I am. as a person, because we all have the capacity to do whatever in this life, whether for good or for evil. But it's how we choose to take the information and the knowledge and the sorrow and the pain and the suffering, and how do we apply it to our lives to make something better. So yeah, the stock market is crashing. Like, the storm is here. But honestly, I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. I have complete faith in God, and I know that I have the skills to not be outsourced. And people like us in the Regal Change Academy, shout out to everybody in the Regal Change Academy, people like us, we're lapping these people, and they're wanting us to slow down. Meanwhile, they can't even keep up to save their lives. So that just is what it is, guys. That it is what it is, and we're gonna keep winning, and they'll keep doing whatever they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, but I hope this video was insightful and useful for you. I do appreciate everybody moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram recently. I appreciate your guys' extra support. I appreciate everybody in the Regal Change Academy. I appreciate everybody that has just been tuning into the videos and reaching out to me. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback recently following that day where I was feeling like, man, I don't know if I can handle this. Ever since then, I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people. So it's been nice for a change. It's been nice, because I was getting hate mail for so long. I was just like, man, I don't know what you want me to say to this. I don't know what you want me to say, but but I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that people are actually getting some fruit from this, and they're actually getting something to take with them and to apply to their life in a beneficial way that impacts their mind, their body, and their soul. And so with all that being said, peace be with you all. Until next time.